questions for anybody? Raise your hand.
We have a microphone.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, there's a microphone, so if you could raise your hand and then identify yourself, and we'll, Russ, in the back there.
My name's Jim McDonald, but Raul Grijalva, I believe it is, had a bill, a Wilderness Act bill, I think for the Coronado within the last year and a half. Does anyone know whether or not that would have effectively helped establish another, essentially drug smuggling, safe drug smuggling corridor?
Well, just to clarify, Congressman Grijalva is your chairman, right? You're the ranking member, and he's the chairman of the subcommittee.
Actually, the irony of that situation is we did a motion to recommit on that particular bill, which put language onto, as an amendment to the bill, that there would be nothing that would take place that would prohibit the Border Patrol from doing activities on federal land. It passed the Senate, passed the House, I'm sorry, overwhelmingly. It's been sitting in the Senate, so it hasn't gone anywhere. The irony is also the Senate did similar language on an appropriations bill that passed on a voice vote in the Senate. It was stripped in committee before it came to the House. So both bodies have actually passed language to say the same thing. It just hasn't actually passed on the same vehicle in both bodies.
Language to do what you want to have done.
Pardon me?
Language to do what you want to have done.
What kind of distribution are you going to get for this program?
These are designed, it's 9 minutes and 59 seconds because YouTube only takes 10 minutes. These are designed for YouTube, basically to get as much grassroots distribution as we can. We look closely at the folks who, the demographic and statistics of the folks who had watched the first video, and it is very clear to us that we have a very young group of people that we are capturing with this video and this type of footage who would otherwise not know it, and also folks more my age who are also watching it as well. We seem to be reaching, therefore, a group of people that we haven't before. The first video that we did a year to a day to today that we released is up around 54,000 views or something like that. We are hoping that this video does as well quickly, and that people really get an idea of how brazen the activity is. This is a story from our point of view that you have to see it. You can't just hear about it. There's nothing more critical than seeing somebody openly carrying an assault rifle through the desert quickly with drug loads behind them. That gets you the impression quicker than that, or the sheer numbers and volumes of folks using illegal trails on federal lands. So the distribution is through YouTube. It's up on our website. We would love it if blogs, news stories reposted the link. That's going to be our best help in getting the news out.
Congressman, I wonder, Congressman, could you comment on the fact what it says now that some 9 other states, I think, are considering, what it says that some 9 other states are considering sort of Arizona-type laws that deal with illegal immigration, and if this video, really does capture the problem and will be an effective tool to further the case.
Look, I think what's important for me is not to make a comment on the efficacy of the Arizona law one way or the other, but to indicate that what you have shown on this video is the kinds of people who are now coming across the border are not simply looking for jobs. Please remember, this is the drug cartels that are coming in, almost all illegal drugs coming in the United States, human trafficking, and all the violence, especially against women, that's involved, and the potential of terrorists. You're getting people from a lot of countries that you wouldn't have nothing to do with, Mexico or Central America, from the Middle East, that are coming into these areas. What is happening now is that this has been creating such a toxic attitude and atmosphere. I understand why Arizona reacted the way they did. All the angst and anxiety is there, and until we can control the borders on federal lands, until we stop disallowing the Border Patrol from having active patrolling opportunities on federal lands, you're never going to clear the atmosphere that will allow any other kind of consideration for any other kind of immigration statutes or resources to take place. In reality, it's first things first. We've got to control the border first, and if we don't do that, any other effort to come up with any kind of long-term solution to immigration is a moot issue, because you've got to solve the angst, the anxiety from really bad people who are now coming in on federal lands because it is just so simply easy. And until we do that, we're stuck. Now, I also need to apologize here. you have to realize that the House and the Senate are probably the worst two organizations for time management. Systemic reform of how we do business needs to take place.
That's a
And
9/11 Commission recommendation.
Yeah, more than that. So the votes that were going to take place at 2:15 have just been moved up an hour, and I need to leave, and I apologize for that. I commend the center, and I commend the
Thank
film you
you for
have,
coming.
and I appreciate your interest in this. This is a significant issue that needs to be solved for the sake of our future, so we can stop the drugs, stop the violence against women, and close potential loopholes for terrorists of easy access into this country. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Congressman. Thanks. I just wanted to point out, I'm always surprised that people don't want to read backgrounders, and this is one of the reasons where there's some people who just aren't fascinated to go put themselves to sleep by reading backgrounders before they go to bed. So that's one of the reasons we've done videos. We're doing some more. We have one coming up, another one on Arizona by our investigative reporter. So this is something we're trying to pursue a little more. Let's take a couple more questions. I want to be respectful of people's time. Well, somebody who hasn't asked a question yet, if anybody. If not, I'll. Okay, go ahead.
Old Faithful here. Jim McDonald again. But a few weeks ago, I saw Mayor Phil, I think his name is Phil, the mayor of Phoenix, and he said very assertively that the terrain along the border was too difficult to build a fence or a wall. Is there any truth to that? Do we know?
Our investigative reporter who's with us has lived in Arizona for years. I was just down there myself. I went to the Coronado area where you saw the first videos of the 735. In the mountains themselves, yes, it's difficult, but the border actually between Naco and Nogales is on flatland desert. I mean, it doesn't. There's nothing about it that you can't build anything on. There are areas where the terrain is difficult, but they create natural barriers. Then you create choke points. So it's a matter, I don't think that is true. I think that's a bit of a political statement. I took as much footage as I could of the actual fence itself and where it lays so that those kinds of arguments could be laid to rest.
Anyone else? Okay, I think Janice will be here to be accosted afterwards if anybody wanted to ask questions, and also she can get you in touch with
Can I make
her.
a terrorism point, even though
Okay,
it's not
sure,
in the
go
film?
ahead, you can finish up
Because this
with
is
the
my
point.
background. This is what I spent years doing. The special interest alien apprehension issue and the issue that Representative Bishop brought up with terrorists crossing the border. It is a significant, potentially significant problem. There have been recent reports that Hezbollah has been once again crossing the border. There was a large smuggling organization that lasted for a decade before and after 9/11 that was busted. And apparently there are issues there again. Hezbollah, as you know, is supported by Iran. And is a very difficult organization to deal with. Also, in terms of Al-Qaeda and Hezbollah, the tri-border area of South America, as some of you may well know, has been known to be a breeding ground, sort of an American transplant of Al-Qaeda and Hezbollah and Hamas for years. It is a completely unprotected border area, and in so doing, there are second generation, as it's being said now, second generation Middle Eastern folks born and bred into Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, Hamas, who are growing up speaking Spanish, who are taking Spanish identities, and are able to assimilate well into Hispanic culture. And therefore, if they're crossing the border, we don't always know who they are unless we stop them. And even if we do, if they manage to have a Hispanic name and a Hispanic identity and a Hispanic accent, we won't necessarily know who we're dealing with. So there are national security reasons as well for dealing with this issue. I did not highlight it in this video, but from what I have learned and what I hear from my sources, there is indeed a concern. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Janice, and thanks to everybody who's here. The video, if you want to watch it again, is at our site, linked at our site and on YouTube. Thanks for coming, and hope to see you at future events.